Good evening, friends and family, and thank you for coming to another night with Behind Black Business that is sponsored by our organization, Repair, Restore, and Grow Black Communities. And as you know, this podcast is to support and enhance the awareness of Black businesses. And we have a very special guest, another special guest, because all of our guests are special. And well, he tells me his name is Petey. And that's how I met him at the Black Women's Expo. And Petey is distributor of 1186, a Black source and distribution of a company of water. And he's going to tell us tonight about this company and what all they are doing. Matter of fact, I have a bottle of this water here, and I will have to tell you that this water is absolutely wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful.
How you doing tonight?
Thank you for coming.
Oh Lord, don't cough on me. You okay?
I think it went down the wrong way.
It's okay. It's okay. I'll have a sip for you just to prove that it won't choke you out.
Absolutely. This water is smooth. I'm going to take another sip.
There we go.
There. Okay.
Better?
I love this water. Yes, it is. I love this water. I've been drinking it every morning. I bought several cases. And Petey, I want to thank you for coming on tonight.
My absolute pleasure to be here. Absolute pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. And as you know, friends and family, Repair, Restore, and Grow Black Communities is a nonprofit organization. And we came together to try to do something to help lift the Black community here in Chicago. And to do so, we felt that it was necessary that we uplift our Black businesses, because our Black businesses are more likely to hire Black people. Our Black-owned businesses are more likely to do businesses, different types of business with other Black businesses, give other Black entrepreneurs an opportunity to display their products in their establishments. Our Black-owned businesses are more likely to support many of our issues and events in our community, and they serve as role models to our children. And as we say every week, also, we have so many people in our community that have taken advantage of our dollars and do not give back. And when you're not, nurturing any type of source, it is going to have a difficult time thriving. And that is something that Black communities are suffering from in Chicago, across this nation, and throughout the world. And that's lack of resources and people taking and not giving back. And so that is why we are working so hard to help our Black businesses here in Chicago. And here at our RGBC, we go to battle with our businesses who are going out of business. We have hosted events to help support our businesses. And we have this podcast every night. We bring a business to you to give you an opportunity to meet the many wonderful business owners that we have out here. And there are so many. We have hosted over 70 podcasts now, and since our existence for the last 2 years. And then we have a public policy division where we are working to support our Black bookstores here in Chicago. And our public policy division, we want our schools and our libraries to give contracts to our Black bookstores. So please go to rrgbc.org and sign our online petition. Also, you can go to our website and you can subscribe. And as a subscriber, you become eligible for our book giveaway. And every month, we select a Black-owned bookstore, and they select the book, and we purchase that book, and we pull the name of one of our subscribers. And that subscriber received a copy of the book of the month. And the book of the month was selected by Rose Cafe, which was our bookstore for the month of September. Rose Cafe, she is her proprietor. She lives in the Roseland area here in Chicago, and her bookstore is online. So you can go to rosecafe.org and purchase books from Aisha Malone. She is the proprietor. And so the book that she selected for this month was The Sum of Us: What Racism Costs Everyone and How We Can Prosper Together by Heather McGee. And this book addresses how divide and conquer tactics have left all Americans worse off. So at the end of the show, I will be announcing who the winner is for the book of the month. But all you have to do is subscribe. There is no cost, but be one of our subscribers to win our book of the month. And speaking of bookstores, we do want to indicate that we have quite a few bookstores here in Chicago. We have probably, as far as I know, we have more Black-owned bookstores here in Chicago than any other city. We once hosted 22. We were down to 2, but now we have more. And there is the Underground Bookstore in Avalon Park, Frontline, who has relocated to Howard Street. And they also have a wonderful global book club that they have started, that we will be giving Sekou, the proprietor of Frontline, an opportunity to come on our podcast and let us know about his new location, his grand opening, and talk about his global book club. There's also the Book Joint, which is in Bronzeville. There is Burst Into Books, which is also located in Roseland. There is Soulful Chicago Bookstore located in Pilsen. There is Semicolon located in Wicker Park. And then we always include Afriware Books, who is located in Maywood, but she does a lot of work and provides a lot of support here in the Chicago area. And then there is Asada Kirkland, who has the Soulful Chicago Book Fair. And so those are some of the bookstores that we know of that we are supporting. If someone else knows of any bookstores that have opened up, please give us a shout out and let us know. You can send us an email to blackbiz.grow@gmail.com. And then lastly, I want to always mention support of our Black-owned banks. Now, we have the Southside Community Federal Credit Union that is located at 55th and Wentworth. And they have been in our community for over 20 years. And in order for our banks to thrive, we have to open up accounts. And when we open up accounts and deposit our monies into a bank, that allows that bank an opportunity to create dollars. So the Southside Community Federal Credit Union has been servicing the Black community for a long time. They've been providing all kinds of financial literacy classes. They're giving out home loans, car loans, personal loans, and they do try to work with our people in the community. So we want to support them. And I want to thank everyone for coming to our event where our guest was at on September the 17th in Avalon Park. where we were giving a lift to the underground bookstore, where so many of you came out and supported us. We had a wonderful time. Maggie Brown, David Boykins, their bands were fantastic. And we had wonderful speakers like Reverend Al Sampson. And we always include Reverend Sampson because anytime we call Reverend Sampson is going to come and do what he can. Rosita Chatanda, one of our teachers that were displaced during the closing of our 50 schools, gave some profound information at that event. She was also on our podcast last week to talk more extensively about that whole issue. And she was there to speak. Jimmy Tillman came to talk about his new book, and we had a couple other authors there, and the book joint came in support of the event. And our brother Randy Evans, who we hear on WVON a lot, and Randy is very well read, and he was there to talk about books that would relate to civics. And so we just had a wonderful time. It was a wonderful spirit. It was a wonderful gathering. And we don't want this to just be a one-time experience. We want you to support our Black bookstores, and we want you to support our Black businesses. And that's what we're about here at Repair, Restore, and Grow Black Communities. So with all of that being said, let's start our discussion with our guest tonight of 1186. Water. And Petey, first of all, we always want to give the audience an opportunity to know about the guests themselves. So I would like for you to tell us a little bit about who you are. Can't hear you.
How's that?
There you go. Okay.
Fantastic. Petey is my nickname, so let's just put that out there. So if people start saying, "Yeah, let me speak to Petey," well, here I am. My real name is Boykin Gradford. Everyone calls me Kenny, or they call me Petey. All my water customers call me Petey. The name kind of stuck simply because the nickname just kind of rang with the water. So Petey the Waterman, right? So there you go, Petey Waterman. And so as for myself, I am a lifelong entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur ever since I was 5 years old, helping to deliver grocery with my grandfather, long time ago. And so from there, school, high school, college, University of Illinois, I worked for Fortune 500 companies. I've been an operational manager. As far as an entrepreneur is concerned, I was one of the first Black MBEs for the city of Chicago through the Harold Washington, through Mayor Harold Washington, the late great Mayor Harold Washington, opened that program, and I was doing landscaping for a lot of time, for a very long period of time. Was one of the very first Black landscapers to capture a contract with Chicago Public Schools back in the I'm showing my age now. Mid 80s.
Okay.
And so I was kind of a jack of all trades, and but one of the things that drive me with owning your own business is the simple fact that every morning you set your own fate. And I was given an opportunity, along with my brother, who lives in Minnesota, to actually open up a distributorship here in Illinois under our own flag, and that is S&R Distribution. We cover the state of Illinois as well as Minnesota. We've also captured Northwest Indiana and a small part of southern Wisconsin as well for distributing the water. We're really proud to be in the neighborhoods that we live in, and every time we promote the water as a water that literally tastes like liquid air, people can't believe it. And so getting the water into their hands is the most important thing. Representing 1186 to the fullest, which is a company that was started by a Black man, gentleman by the name of Mr. Marquise Forge. through his company, Emerine Industries. And so, given that opportunity to work with Emerine Industries pretty much on the ground level in about the third year of their existence, not including their R&D, um, it was an amazing opportunity. We went down, we visited the plant, and was given that opportunity to come on board as a distributor, and we've been rolling ever since.
So now, where is Emirate in the industries? Where are they located?
Emerine Industries is located in a very small town called Ottaville, Alabama. A lot of people have
Mhm.
never heard of Ottaville, Alabama, but
No, never heard of.
they've certainly heard of Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay.
And so Ottaville is about 30 miles southwest of Birmingham, Alabama. It is the sister. Uh, it is the sister city to a town called Prattville, Alabama. So
Okay.
if you kind of do a comparison between the two cities, just think of Schaumburg, right, which would be
Mm-hmm.
considered like Prattville, and Posen, which would be considered Ottaville.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Okay.
there are literally three municipal buildings, one stop sign, and and the entire grade school through high school situation for their educational system is all in one building. But it's beautiful. It's a
Okay.
beautiful sight. Um, yeah. So
So,
Ottaville,
so
Alabama.
how did he? Well, how how did he start this? Is this on family land, or how did he find this source? How did that come about?
You know what? That is a very, very long story. And let me be very, very clear. I can't tell you as eloquently as the founder himself, Mr. Marquis Forge.
Sure.
Um, the premise of it was heaven, it was divinely ordered.
Okay.
Just to be honest with you. Um, the way Mr. Forge tells the story in regards to, um, how he was introduced to the business, who he was introduced to the business through, uh, the challenges that he had in getting the business open, setting up and finding the water and kind of just saying, kind of lining it up to an existing well that had been shut down for many, many years, and being able to actually, instead of buying one plant, he bought a whole different land source that allowed him to actually, dig the well and tap into this marvelous encapsulated aquifer that is so close to the bedrock that that's where the full richness and purity of the water comes from. And so, to tell the story myself, I know I've given a little bit of the
Mm-hmm.
story, but I'd have to say that it was truly divine intervention, and the fact that um, um, with the leadership of the company being under Mr. Forge, not only to create Emerine Industries, but also to spiritually give 1186 its name. The water is it's just great water.
Now, do you know
It's
how
great water
he
that's given
came up?
great opportunities.
Do you know how he came up with the name 1186?
Absolutely, that I do.
Mm-hmm.
1186 does have a spiritual ring to it. If you look in the Bible, if you count the chapters of the Bible, there are 1,189 verses in the chapters in the Bible. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but short of the divinity and then, having the Bible being the perfect roadmap of perfection in a person's life, um, but short of the divinity of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, you minus three from 1189, and you have 1186.
Okay. Okay. So that's how he came up with that name.
Yes, and
Okay.
that name represents the tree of life.
Okay. So, but was this on, do you know if this was on family land,
No, no,
like back from slavery or anything like that?
no. It was not any part of his family
Okay.
historical land that was on there. The history behind how he got the land, right?
Mm-hmm.
He is a native of Ottaville. Okay, Mr. Forge is a native of Ottaville, Alabama. His family was raised down there. Um, his brothers, his mom grew up there, and so they were part of this town. And part of the story behind 1186 is the fact that um, it's an effort to save the town. So remember, population down there is 696.
That's small.
Extremely small, right?
Hmm.
So, and as I was describing, not only the beauty and the richness of the surrounding suburbs of the land from an economic standpoint, Otagoville is probably one of the poorest um, cities in Alabama. But 1186 actually supports probably about 50% of the revenues that come in this town from the tax base. So just to find this water on this land that he purchased, him and his partners purchased, it was an absolute blessing to the point where
Hmm.
when they tapped into this aquifer, they had to have the water tested not once, but twice
Hmm.
because the purity level of the water was such that the inspectors had never seen it before. They had
Wow.
never seen that pure water in the entire state of Alabama. And so they, like I said, they had more than one inspector double checking. And when they found it, one of the things you'll see in the video, if you go to 1186water.com, is
Hmm.
the fact that that inspector said, "You've got liquid gold." And here in the North, we
Wow.
call it liquid air.
Wow. Now, are the majority of the people in the town black, or is
Oh,
it a
absolutely.
mix?
It's 90% black.
90% black. That's a beautiful thing for them.
Hmm.
See, lets you know what a business can do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
It completely
So,
revitalized the town.
so now I think you described this or categorized this as artesian water. Would you
Absolutely.
say? So can you tell, because there's all kinds of water out here. There's spring
Mhm.
water, there's well water, there's distilled water, there's
Mhm.
artesian water. I mean, they've got so many different types of water out here.
Mhm. Mhm.
So what is artesian water?
Artesian water is a water source that has been capsulated or encapsulated by some sort of aquifer, primarily an aquifer. And
Now, what is
so,
it? What is an aquifer?
an aquifer is an underground water source that is dug closer to the bedrock more so than your regular well water, or what we would consider well water. So different layers of the earth that you have to go through in order to tap for water.
Hmm.
Um, and so when a person is building a very simple well, they could dig maybe about 100 to maybe 200 feet, okay, into the ground. But when you're going for an aquifer, you start digging above, above that 500-foot range, close to 1,000 feet. And if you're lucky enough to tap into an aquifer source, um, then that aquifer source is richer as well as has a deeper filtration process because it's lower into the ground. And so
Hmm.
that is what makes it an artesian water versus a spring water, which actually does come up out of the ground and can come from an artesian well. But
Hmm.
the difference to that is that if once a spring water is tapped, it actually has to be collected because it's on the surface of the water now. And when
Hmm.
you think about airborne contaminants or any type of contaminants that can um, go into water just strictly by nature, not let alone by man.
Hmm.
Whatever's in the air, whatever is on the ground, whatever animals could trace through a stream, right? That's actually spring water that is coming out of the ground and has to be captured, right?
Okay.
So the difference between artesian water and spring water is artesian water is still in the ground and encapsulated and brought up through a naturalization process, a natural pressure process,
Hmm.
versus spring water, which can still have that same process, but it's already on top of the ground and forming a stream or a creek, um, which goes into a lake. So it's exposed to the environment.
Close to the elements. Uh-huh.
Exactly, exactly.
Now, what about well water?
Well water is again water that is more shallow. So once you get past the topsoil, you can on almost any type of land to a degree, you can get to some source of water right past either the topsoil and the clay and the sand and any type of gravel that you may hit, and you may hit a well.
Okay.
But it's at a higher It's at a closer to it's closer to the surface than an aquifer would be.
Okay. Now, one of the things that I noticed when I met you at the Black Women's Expo, you had the flyer, and it said, the water didn't have all of these different types of additives to it.
Absolutely.
And can you list those, the additives that you mentioned that is not in this water?
Sure, absolutely. First off, let me just say I get really excited when I start talking about 1186 real artesian water
Okay.
because it's something that you don't find all of
Mm-hmm.
and in this case it is so unique that it comes out of the ground. If you're a water drinker, you're really familiar with your pH levels. Okay, so before I go into just the details, let me just say this: out of the ground, the average pH of 1186 is 6.9.
Mm-hmm.
The significance of 6.9, that marker, is the fact that internationally, worldwide, 7 is considered perfect water. It's the
Wow.
breaking point. 7 is considered the breaking point between your alkaline waters, which would have a higher content level. So it's like 7.2, 7.3, 7.4, and you can go all the way to 10 if you go to, in many cases, you'll see a lot of alkaline waters that declare that they're, 9.9, 9.8. That's a lot of alkaline when the body is only at 7.2. The natural pH balance of the body, human body, is around 7.2, 7.3. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So perfect water being 7, going down from that level, and once you get past like the 6.8, 6.9, sorry, yeah, past that level and go into like your 5s, your 4s and 3s, then you're looking at a more of an acid-based water or mineral water. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so and I'm not a water basher, so I don't bash any brand of water. I say taste the difference.
Mm-hmm.
The 6.9 with 1186 means that it's coming out of the water pure, naturally filtered. It's the earth that gives us it's a clean, crisp taste. It has no added chemicals. No, and let me just say this: there's no chemicals added. So we'll just put that as the forefront of the conversation. Okay, there's no processing to the water, and so it literally comes from a fully encapsulated system directly to this aquifer and directly into the bottling plant, where it's actually screened 4 times, right? And then it goes through, and that's the only filtration process that it goes through. But then it goes directly into the bottle, and you literally taste it as clean, crisp, fresh as it comes out of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's no added sodiums, there's no added silica, there's no added alkaline to the water, there's no processing to the water, there's no sugar. So this gift from God is basically water the way nature intended, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the source of 1186.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I didn't sound like a pitch man, but I'm just saying.
No, no. Well, you should. That's what you here for.
1186. It's
So
part of the
like
country.
the alkaline waters. So is that a naturally occurring um event, or is alkaline added to water? Because a lot of people are into alkaline water,
Mhm,
to reduce acidity in the system, as they say.
mhm. Well, with alkaline water, there are some natural sources of alkaline water.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of them will be from what I've found in my research. A lot of the foreign waters have a high level of alkaline in them.
Mm-hmm.
Those waters that are imported into the United States, those have high alkaline waters. And then there are those waters where alkaline is actually added to the water. There are these little boxes that they sell, and for $4,000 that will increase the alkaline in your water just from your tap water, right?
Right.
But
Right.
when you think about it, I'm very crude in this description, but when you think about it, if you put a double A battery inside a bottle like this, would you really want to drink it?
Mm.
No. And so when you're thinking about what you're drinking and what you're putting into your body, the closer to your own pH, the more healthier that water will be to your body. And so when you're not drinking anything that's processed,
Hmm.
Then you have natural water such as 1186.
Okay. Okay. Well, I just started drinking it and I think it tastes wonderful. Very easy to drink, goes down really smooth because I'm really ticky about water.
Mhm.
Just certain waters I can't drink. You know, I drink so
Mhm.
much and then I don't want any more. But this is very good tasting water. Have there been any mentions or testimonies about any health benefits of this water yet? Or
From that aspect, let me just say
uh-huh.
this: I am not a doctor. I
Okay.
pose no medical degrees.
Okay.
We are not impaled to tell stories in regards to those who have seen the benefits of drinking 1186.
Okay.
But I'll give you a story that makes sense. Okay,
Okay.
so a couple of my customers actually are diabetic, right? And one of them in particular, he actually is on dialysis. Okay, so the functioning of his kidneys were such that it required dialysis, and so he was relatively new to the to dialysis. And there are certain levels that they have to measure with you when you're going into dialysis to ensure that you're drinking the right amount of water and that your kidneys are functioning at the levels that are acceptable, uh, from a medical standpoint. Well, it just so happens that I actually sold him the water. Okay, got him on 1186, and just to say, try something that your body's not going to have to process. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and so he was telling me a story about how he went on a trip, and um, he was out of state, so he couldn't get to a dialysis center to to continue his treatments, and then he missed his bus going home, right? And he stayed in Detroit. He missed his bus going home. He was out without dialysis for a period of about 4.5 days. And every day he drank 2 bottles of 1186. Okay. During that process, uh, he ate his food, he had changed his diet and what have you. But during that process, because he was drinking 1186 and because it has all natural properties and there's nothing added, there's no chemicals added, fluids, right, that get into your body are the first things that affect your bloodstream.
Mm-hmm.
And so that same scenario is what helps your kidneys to function, and to dissipate waste from the body. So he drank it. He went back to Detroit. First thing he did was ran straight to the hospital to, check his levels for dialysis. Needless to say, they asked the question, "Why are you here?"
Mm.
Coincidence?
Wow.
I'm not telling anybody to stop going on dialysis or what have
Mm-hmm.
you.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start out with the basics, and our bodies are created of 75% water, right? Then if you start out with what you put in your body, and you're drinking water that's clean and naturally earth filtered and is not processed, then you're starting out with a great start to a healthy lifestyle. And that's what 1186 can contribute to.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Beautiful story.
Thank you.
Okay.
True story too. Like I
Yeah,
said, you know,
absolutely. So, where are you distributing this water? Let's start here in Chicago because I know you're a distributor for, is it Chicago or the Illinois area?
I take care of the entire Illinois region
The
and
entire.
northwest Indiana.
Okay.
So we have grown a fairly large following of 1186 drinkers. Um, we started out with just residential clients and kind of word of mouth and getting the water out there at different events and fairs and small community groups and just talking about the water and letting people actually get a chance to taste the water. We're fortunate enough. One of my favorite, uh, it's not one of, it's actually my favorite strip, which I actually have an office on the strip on 75th Street. Um, we have Brown Sugar Bakery, we've got Styles Caribbean, we've got Soul Veg City, KMT Health Food Store. That entire strip, that restaurant row, actually
Mhm.
helped me to get on the ground. I
Wow.
couldn't have done it without them. And so they were one of the very first. So in fact, Styles Caribbean was the very first store to allow me to put water in their store.
Mhm.
And then A&S Beverages, right on the same strip, they were the second, and then KMT was third, and then Soul Food City, right on that same strip, they were my fourth client. And then it took me 6 months, and I think there was some skepticism about the water from the start, but it
Mhm.
took me 6 months to get Soul Veg City. And let me tell you something, they are my number one store clients, local store
Okay.
restaurant clients to this day. And
Okay.
so they've given us a very beautiful spot on in their freezer, refrigerated section, and that has helped to kind of get the word out about 1186,
Mhm.
and the fact that it's black owned and operated. Our distributorship for 1186 is black owned.
Mhm.
And it leads for opportunity for economic success within the black owned community. And
Sure.
so those are some of the stores and restaurants that we're in right now, just on that strip alone. You can find us on the south side in Calumet City and Dalton, South Holland. Those are some of the. We haven't really ventured quite north yet, but
Mhm.
one of the biggest things that we're proud of, I'm most proud of, is being able to coordinate our efforts with Pete's Market. So if you know
Okay.
about Pete's Market, right?
Yeah, they're pretty big chain.
Absolutely. They have 17 stores in Illinois, with about 7 or 8 of those stores being in the Chicagoland area. We were able to get into their store uh, 1st of July. And so
Okay.
since then, we've sold over 22 skids within their 17 store chain. And the amazement is always going into those stores and introducing 1186 as the one of the purest waters on earth, having people actually come by with their buggy, and I'm looking at the ice mountain. I say, hey, have you tried this? And they say, no,
Mhm.
what is it? And then I get to do my whole pitch. And the moment we pour some in the cup so they can taste the difference of what
Sure.
1186 is compared to their go-to water at home, they take that water right out of their buggy and put some 1186 right in.
1186 in there. And then the
Absolutely.
other nice thing is
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
bottle that they're in.
Yeah.
Tell us about the bottle.
Yes, absolutely. The bottle, if you can see, it's actually blown at the site, at the plant. So it's not like they come pre-blown. They actually come in what's called a precast or preform. Okay, and so your 1186 bottle starts off like this.
Mm.
And so if I was to take this cap off, right? So it starts off like this as a preform, and then it goes through a process of being heated and blown and then formed. And so the formulation of that process of heating it, just it actually disinfects and kills any germs that may be part of the packaging process and what have you. But it's custom blown and made right there at the bottling plant. And then you see these little ridges right here, right?
Mhm.
Everything literally has its own unique design. So the ridges are to help you grip it better, right? It also, the color of the bottle itself, right? It actually reflects ultraviolet rays. So, like with some bottles, they tell you all the time, those very clear bottles, don't keep it
Sure.
in the car, right? With
Mhm.
1186, you can actually travel with it in the car. It doesn't have that crinkly sound. See that?
Mhm. Mhm.
Doesn't have that crinkly sound that you would find in regular bottles of water. It's a thicker plastic that is peat free, and so there's no harmful chemicals in it, in the plastic itself. The
Mhm.
actual mouth of the bottle itself is a little bit wider so that you can enjoy the smooth taste of
Sure.
1186. It doesn't
Right.
clog up where you have those little, when you're drinking some waters where you go cluck, 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 and you can see the water
Mhm.
go. No,
Mhm.
that doesn't happen with 1186. And that wider mouth actually allows for the water to go down naturally and smooth into the body. And so by the time you open up, oh, this is a very unique thing too, and this is the most important, I should say. The moment you crack open a bottle of 1186 is the first time that water is exposed to air,
Okay.
each and every time. Another thing, last, I'm not going to bore you with this, but you can't see it, but on every bottle of water, there is a laser imprint. And I wish I could kind of, focus on this, but in the United States, it has to have a laser imprint on the bottle. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter what bottle you get. This is
Okay.
important because water has a 2-year shelf life. Okay. And
Oh, I
so
didn't
that's
know that.
absolutely, water has a 2-year shelf life, and you can pick up any bottle of water in the United States, and it better have that laser imprint on there. It's FDA, it's an FDA mandate. And so whether it's imported or domestic. And so if you look on each laser imprint, it'll tell you the 2-year out period of the actual water and its freshness. Okay. So on my water, it has, I looked at it before, it has 8/22/24. Okay. Which means that in August, this water was put into this bottle, right? And it has a shelf life of 2 years, which is the 24. So 8/22 is the date that it was put in. And so on August 22nd, 2024, this water will expire. Okay. However, because 1186, the rotation behind it is so fast, it never stays on the shelf long enough for it to
Sounds so
get
hard.
past, 4 or 5 months. But if you go to any other store, you're going to see a lot of the water that you buy is already outdated.
Now, why does water have a shelf life?
Water has a shelf life because there's a federal mandate from the USDA that requires a certain amount of expiration for a product, right? So just like on a can, you have an expiration date. Just like
Sure.
on a gallon of milk, you have an expiration date.
Mm-hmm.
So same thing with water. And so it really depends on what type of material you store the water in. And so when it comes down to plastic and the quality of the plastic, across the board, instead of trying to compare apples to oranges, whether it's bottled in glass or whether it's bottled in plastic or it's bottled in a milk carton type scenario, which I've seen as an advertisement or the distribution type for some waters, they call it box water.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, when it all comes down to it, it has to have a shelf life. It's fairly mandated that it has a shelf life. And so 2 years is the universal shelf life for water, no matter how it's stored.
I never knew that
Hmm.
because you would think, other items would have a shelf life because they're going to spoil.
Right.
That's how people are thinking. And so you
Hmm.
wouldn't think of water as something going wrong with it.
Oh, no, absolutely not. That would be the last thing that you would think about, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when it all boils down to it, water, the storage of water is very, very important, and how it's kept.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you'll find that a lot of the local waters uh, or your spring waters, got to be careful with how you use the word spring too, because you
Mm-hmm.
can find some waters that actually have the word spring in the name, but they're
Mm-hmm.
not spring waters. And then you can have distilled water again that goes through a process, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's basically tap water. If you look at where some waters will actually say bottled at the source, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you look at the fine print behind it, that source could be anywhere. It could be Lake Mead, it could be wherever that tap or municipal source is where
Mm-hmm.
they get the water. Their processing of the water will allow them to call it, a distilled water or a spring water without actually having to verify or validate that the collection of that water actually came from
Mm-hmm.
the spring.
Okay.
Because believe it or not, a lot of municipalities, whether the small municipalities especially, their waters come from their local lake, right? And that
Wow.
lake water has to be processed. But can you call lake water or spring water? Quite possibly, quite
Wow.
possibly, because
Interesting.
that water has to lead to some type of a tributary, right? Where it either started from that tributary or it led to that a tributary led to it becoming a basin or a lake, and so that's where they collected that water from.
Very interesting.
Mhm.
Very interesting. Okay. Now you mentioned some places. You mentioned where you could get the water here in Chicago, and you
Mhm.
mentioned some suburban areas. Are there some specific places in those suburban areas where the water are? Like I think you mentioned South Holland.
Mhm.
Uh, what are the places that
Well,
you mentioned?
little stores like Cal City Foods, um, um, uh, Dalton Beverages, smaller stores that are your mom and pop type stores. They actually have the water in their stores.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we're moving forward to well, we're in a lot of gas stations too. Let me just say that. So
Oh,
the
really?
road you'll find us in Sitco, in Northwest Indiana. You'll find us in Sitcos throughout the southern region of city of Chicago, as well as the surrounding suburbs. So the
Mm-hmm.
surrounding south suburbs, South Holland, Dalton, Calumet City, Harvey, uh, those suburbs have the water in them.
Okay. Wonderful. So,
But let me make this note too, because those are the smaller stores. But
okay.
within the Pete stores, now you have a bigger selection as well. So you can find us in Zion, you can find us in Calumet City, you can find us um, in Evergreen Park, you can find us in Lamont, you can find us in Schaumburg and Carroll Stream, and every single store that Pete's has a store, um,
Mm-hmm.
in any West Lawn, and all of their Chicago stores. So you can find us in a lot of different neighborhoods, and that's one of the beautiful things about Pete's, because when they were setting up their stores, they actually set them up, a lot of their stores, especially in the Chicagoland area. They set them up in what was considered food deserts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you had larger stores, and I won't name their name, but you had
Sure.
larger stores that actually moved out of the neighborhood and and left these huge deposits of properties just vacant, as
Mm-hmm.
well as taking any type of quality meats and vegetables and produce directly from what was considered a neighborhood store to your suburban stores now. And so Pete's was a great attribute in coming into those areas and revitalizing those areas.
Mm-hmm.
Madison and Western is a really great example of that.
Yeah.
There
That's
was
a nice
nothing.
big piece over there.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have larger stores like that, it actually becomes a magnet for other smaller stores to actually, thrive in those communities, and it gives opportunity for other neighborhood stores to capitalize on the fact that anything associated with Pete's will bring more business into that neighborhood, thus allowing them to actually capitalize on the foot traffic that goes through the neighborhood.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So now you're in other states. What other states are you in?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Hmm.
So, just as one mentioned too,
Okay.
1186 is the national state water of Alabama. It's the official state water of Alabama.
Okay. All
So
right.
you've got Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, Georgia, Texas, Minnesota, Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and the lower part of Wisconsin,
Wow. That's a lot of
and
places.
growing.
Okay. Okay. So, what are some of the economic opportunities now that you have this company, that is flourishing, throughout the country?
Mhm.
And what are some of the economic opportunities that are there for
Well,
people?
some of the economic opportunities come in the form of joining distributorships that are existing in your area,
Mm-hmm.
and being groundbreaking distributors in areas that we haven't tapped yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, your Ohio, your Detroit. Oh, I'm sorry, they're Michigan as well. We're in Michigan, the state of Michigan and
Oh,
Detroit.
okay.
Um, so your Ohio's, though, your Nebraskas, your anything north of the um, of the Delta, literally, or the Mason Dixon line. It's basically an open market for those areas, but you have to take into consideration that to be a distributor, you have to have the wherewithal to actually do the work. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a very hard road. But with Emrain Industries, they give you a very straightforward platform on how you should build your market.
Okay.
And that's one of the things that I appreciate about Emrain Industries, and with the leadership team that they have down there. They don't let you grow too fast, and they don't give you promises of a get rich, quick scheme. This
Sure.
is definitely something that's a grassroots effort, but the
Mm-hmm.
benefits behind it are just marvelous.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that you can grow on, and that your family can actually inherit because of your work, and
Mm-hmm.
the public flourishes for it because of just the natural ability of what the water brings to the public.
Okay. Now, do you have your own trucks?
We're growing.
You're
We're
growing?
growing. Yes,
You're
we do have with S&R Distribution. We do have we do direct ships, and we also have our own trucking company that goes from Minnesota to Chicago and Chicago to Minnesota to ensure that we never run out of water. And so, what we're looking for, and as we grow, we're looking for the warehouse space to ensure that our water is constantly flowing. And so, the plan is to make Chicago the the Midwest hub for the
Mhm.
North.
Okay.
Mhm.
People talk about Chicago, and Chicago gets a lot of bad rap, but people are constantly coming to Chicago with their business ideas,
Mhm.
and they're flourishing.
Absolutely,
So you
absolutely.
know,
I
Chicago
mean,
is a great city. I mean, we have our issues here, but
mhm, mhm.
it is definitely a great city.
Absolutely. I mean, first off, you really have to think about, the history of Chicago. Chicago is the heart of the Great Migration, for
Hmm.
Black people coming from the South. And when it comes down to opportunity, you can't beat what you can do here in Chicago. Most of our government officials, are Black here in Chicago. So we understand the nature of business and how things operate. City Council of Chicago is probably about 50 to 60% Black as well. So the movement of businesses and the ability to allow them to flourish
Hmm.
is there, but there's the politics behind it, you know.
Sure.
And there's nothing wrong with politics as long as it goes in our favor, you know.
Hmm.
And when it comes down to being an entrepreneur, there's nothing that you can't do here in Chicago. They say if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. Not no. If you can
Now
make it in
making it
Chicago,
Chicago.
you can make it in Chicago. You can make it anywhere without
That's right.
question.
That's right.
Mhm,
Now, we've had something I wanted to ask you about,
mhm,
because we've had places like Mississippi, that have had water issues. Flint, Michigan has had, water issues. And right now here, in Dixmoor, there are water issues. A lot of people in different areas have ended up under this boiling water orders, because of different problems that have occurred with the infrastructure of the different cities. And
mhm.
so, how has 1186 played a role in any of this?
Well, we always offer the opportunity for anyone listening or anyone who's interested in um, um, partaking in the water to give us a call. We're here to help. We absolutely, we give discounts. We've done donations. We've done fundraisers to help out those in need. And so, one of the greatest attributes is even the situation that's happening down in Mississippi,
Hmm.
in Jackson, where their infrastructure is such a state of disarray that you know people are being told to, when you take a shower, close your mouth. No, that would
Yeah,
never
I
happen
don't
here in
think I'd
Chicago.
want to take a shower.
No, no, not at all, not at all. But
Uh,
we have really great strategists and distributors down there. MSM Distribution down there has been doing an
mhm.
absolutely amazing job. Mr. Coffee, or College Boy, as some people know him, he has just been doing a fantastic job down there to help the situation. Um, Literally 400,000 bottles have been distributed in the Jackson area on behalf of MSM Industries with 1186 Real Artesian Water. being the source of providing good, clean, crisp, healthy water
Mm-hmm.
to the natives of Jackson, Mississippi. And so we're really proud of his efforts. And with the Flint, Michigan, as well as the Posen scenario, we are looking for donors to continue the fight to help those people in those areas to have
Mm-hmm.
fresh water.
Absolutely. And
Hmm.
obviously, there you having to use your water not only for drinking, but for bathing,
Exactly.
purposes. So
Hmm.
that's a wonderful, and I mean, it's wonderful that you're able to offer that
Absolutely.
and to offer them
Absolutely.
such a good source of water on top of that.
Hmm. It is. It is. Like I said, a lot of people don't. They haven't really discovered 1186 simply
Hmm.
because our marketing plan is one where you have to taste it in order to believe it. And if you notice, there's no you other than me introducing it to you, right? Or you hearing about it, right? You've probably never seen it on the shelf anywhere, only
No.
because we have a very slow process of how we and where we actually place our water, you know. Um, and the beautiful part about it is once you taste the water, right, and you get a feel for its benefits, then you start to look for the water, and there you go. And then when people start looking up the water and find out that it's black owned, black operated, we own the water, the brand, and the land, there's no middleman, right?
Hmm.
That part by itself makes it worth the effort to support one of the only black artesian um, water bottlers in the United States, if not the world.
Absolutely. Well, I was so amazed and I was so impressed when I first met you. I said this is black owned. You know, I am very proud. I am very proud of the work that you're doing, and I am very proud of this water. I'm going to tell you, this water is great. And so now I have purchased water from you. I have purchased cases of water from you, so
Mhm.
people can get this water in the stores. But tell us how else, in other ways that we can purchase this water.
Absolutely. We encourage you to go out to Pete's and some of the other local stores in the area that actually have the water. And if they don't have the water, guess what? Ask for it by name. Tell them that you want the water in the store, you need it in your neighborhood, and they'll actually buy the water. And the way to get in contact with us directly, we offer home delivery to delivery free delivery to your home on the first order, right? It doesn't matter if you buy one case or 50 cases. And then our delivery charge or fee for any subsequent deliveries is only $5. And so the benefit to that is you do get a lower price point on your cases. So our price point as a distributor is only $12.99 per case. Okay. And as you're starting to do your research and you look up 1186 at any given point, you're going to see on 1186's website where the $12.99 price is nowhere near what they're selling it down south. And so I make the notion to make this expression to say that water transportation is very, very heavy, and the logistics cost to bring it here in the north quantifies the price that you pay. So let me just give you, for instance, right? $7.99. You're going to find that at the Piggly Wiggly in Alabama all the time, right? However, it's right next door or it's within that area, and there's a wider distribution network within the state of Alabama than there is here in Illinois. So then, with the logistics cost that it comes when it comes here, our base price is only $12.99. So when you think $12.99 versus $7.99, or you take another product like milk or gas or anything like that, it's always going to be cheaper in the South. So let me just give that
Mhm.
disclaimer. We sell it at $12.99 as a distributor to make sure that it stays affordable for everyone involved. So if you look at it, you're getting 24 bottles, right,
Mhm.
of 1186, right, at 12.99, which equates out to a little bit less than 50 cents per bottle.
50 cents a bottle.
Okay. And when you go into any store, you're going to immediately pay $1, for a cold bottle of water, some cheap water, of course. But when it comes to an ultra premium artesian water, this water, without bringing any type of competition into this, if you like Fiji, you're going to love 1186. If you like other competition or other artesian waters, you're going to love 1186. You know, the fact that the clean, crisp taste of 1186 and it's all natural elements. Um, Anytime we go any place, we beat, you know, we do our taste test because we have a taste the difference tour. And if you come, you know, you'll see it and you'll be able to taste it firsthand. Um, Literally, we beat hands down all of our competition. It doesn't matter who it is.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
once you taste it, it's like you know, when you buy the watermelon off the truck and they have a
Hmm.
slice there.
Oh yeah.
You
Oh yeah.
taste this and you taste it and you're like, okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
give me
Hmm.
one. No, it's a great water. It really
Yeah.
is. And like I said, I am so proud and so happy that I have met you, and we definitely want to support you. What is your vision for the future with this company?
Well, with 1186, we're not going anywhere.
Hmm.
Emerine Industry is not going anywhere. We're not a fly by night company. They're not a fly by night company. Let me be very, very, very clear. 1186 is not a fly by night company. It's a very young company, very vibrant, um, bold in its mission, to get the water out there, and very honest in its distribution of the water through distributors like myself with S&R Distribution. And they give opportunity. They provide opportunity. So to answer your question, I see S&R Distribution actually growing exponentially. We have 2 states now. We hope to have 5 in the next 5 years. Um, Ideally speaking, we want to grow to be the north hub here in Chicago for those other states that are above the Mason-Dixon line. We also want to grow with the company. So ideally speaking, and I really want you guys to kind of feel where I'm coming from here. Uh, Marine Industries is only about 4 years old, minus the year for research and development, and make sure that everything was proper and ran with excellence when it came down to the testing and the quality of the water and building the actual bottling plant down there. And so, very meticulous in the things that they do. I mean, literally, when I went to go visit for the very first time, I was so impressed that literally the cleanliness of this place is immaculate. You could literally eat off the floor. There, I'm so serious. And then the water source itself, the way that it actually comes up out of the ground, it's so crystal clear. There's a slight reservoir where you can interrupt the flow going into the bottling plant, and you
Hmm.
can actually see it. And you know, if you're bold enough to taste it, you can taste it directly from the ground. I was one of
Hmm.
those people that was bold enough to taste it. I remember
Okay.
how well water used to taste, right? When I
Hmm.
was growing up and we go down south and we go visit,
Hmm.
this is not like well water at all.
Okay.
You know, that's the difference between aquifer water versus well water. You know, you still
Okay.
have the ability to have it being exposed to the air when it comes down to well water,
Sure.
right? Even though
Sure.
it's filtered, there's no exposure to this water. In fact, the entire system is fully encapsulated. So when I tell you that there's no air that gets into this water before it gets into this bottle,
Hmm.
taste the difference for yourself and you'll see.
Okay.
But I see us growing exponentially with the Emerine Industry, their leadership team. S&R Distribution is only 1 year old. We were founded in July of 2021, and we've grown within that year with Emerine Industries throughout that entire year, and we've just seen, we've seen the growth curve, when it comes to this business. And so it's a learning experience. It's been really fun to work. I'm looking forward to growing. I'm looking forward to hiring people
Okay.
as we grow. And I'm more so interested in getting other distributors to help us out and get this wonderful
Okay.
water out into the market. And so we're looking to create distributors under our S&R distribution brand, and work with those who are willing to work.
So how can people get in touch with you?
Absolutely. They can dial me
Hmm.
on our 800 number. That's 1-844-469-1186. That's 844-469-1186. My direct extension is extension 2, or you can just leave a message on our voicemail, and we are very, very particular in getting back to people in a very timely manner. So we'll never miss a call, and so you'll get a
Wow.
quick reply.
Well, thank you, Petey. That was a wonderful information. I'm going to have you give that contact information once again before we go. But I do want to indicate, as you know, as I mentioned earlier, we are big proponents of our bookstores because we believe that Black literacy is very important. We need to have information. We need to have knowledge that, and that is going to affect the decisions that we make.
Hmm.
And so we need to support our Black bookstores. We have lots of authors out here. A lot of people like to purchase on Amazon, but we have some wonderful Black bookstores with some wonderful books, and some of them you won't even find on Amazon. And if
True.
you author a book, put your books in our Black bookstores. And so Rose Cafe this month chose The Sum of Us, What Racism Costs Everyone, and How We Can Prosper Together by Heather McGee. And our winner is Pat Percy. And Pat Percy, we will be contacting you. We have your number. You are the winner of this book of the month, and we will send this book to you. We take care of the shipping and everything. This is just how important we feel it is to support our Black bookstores. And we want you to please go to our website where you can watch this podcast and all of the other podcasts that we have had. We have an online store, and you can also donate to our organization because that's how we are supporting all of the work that we are doing. And so, Petey, I want you to give your contact information one more time, and then we're going to say goodnight.
Absolutely. Again, that's S&R Distribution, and we can be reached at area code 844, toll free, 844-469-1186. That's 844-469-1186. If you wish to speak to me directly, hit extension 2. And if you wish to make an order, just leave a voicemail message and we'll get right there to you. Also, too, we have live attendance as well, so you can get a direct order. We also sell the water via the internet. So if you go to the 1186 website, that's 1186water.com. You can place your order there, and we'll get that direct traffic directly from headquarters in Ottaville, Alabama, and they'll let us know that you need water, and we'll deliver.
Okay.
Oh, and last but not least, don't forget your local stores. They have it there, and if you don't see it, by all means, tell them to get it, and we'll make sure that it gets into those neighborhood stores. And don't forget to visit Pete's. All 17 stores has 1186, not only in there by the case, but they sell it also by the bottle.
Okay, well, I will definitely be sharing it because I definitely think this is a wonderful water, wonderful water. And again, thank you for taking the time to come here. And again, we're very proud of what you're doing. And here at Repair, Restore, and Grow Black Communities, we will be doing everything we can to support you.
We thank you so very, very much. I'm humbled by this experience, and thank you for having me on.
Okay, and good night, everybody.
Good night.